Welcome back to Nintagious. JMT Miami, Scarlet, Spaghetti. How you guys all doing? Anyone else who may be lurking? Also good to have you, of course. Let me do pixels. And we're gonna jump right back into this. Oh, and hopefully I'm not too much of a zombie tonight. I'm okay. I'm okay. I slept, like, pretty well, but also had one of those days where I woke up and I was like, oh, I still have a couple of hours to get some more sleep in, and then my alarm went off 5 minutes later, and that was just such an awful killjoy. So now I'm kind of bleh. But, you know, all things considered, at least I slept well. And now we're back into this chill as fuck music. I'm just so excited for summer to be over, because that's gonna mean, like, I'm gonna be able to, I'll be sleeping better, like, I'll more consistently be getting a good night's sleep, whereas right now I'm very, like, it's very hit or miss. This weather just fucks with me. Like, storyline-wise, what's it about? Or is it, like, or do you mean, like, what's going on with the gameplay? Or both? Hey Blue, how's it going? Storyline wise, it's like some weird wizard dude like stole all of the artwork in the world or something. Gameplay wise, I'll try and give another rundown of like how the gameplay works on the next puzzle, I think. I'm already, like, kinda into this one, so it'd be hard to slow down and explain, I think. Hey Logan, how's it going? Also, my allergies were really shitty last night, so that sucked. When it comes to everyone asking things like, how's it going? Like, yeah, my allergies were not in a good place last night. I was a zombie all night, basically. Like, I could barely even think straight. It was really weird. Yeah, it's the same one. It was just had a different rule set. Hey, boss time. Okay, so boss isn't going to be a good place to explain what's going on either. And it looks like we're finally up against 20 by 20s after this, so... These guys see a boss crab thing and are like, dinner. He probably gonna attack me. Maybe. He's probably gonna get an attack off. Oh, nope. Gotcha. That could have been wrong. I got lucky. Wait, no. I don't need no items. Alright, Blue. That's right, you guys start school, like, 2 days? Not tomorrow, but the next day, I think you said. It's unfortunate. But I know you are looking forward to school, so I guess it's not fully unfortunate. Oh boy, 20 by 20. Things are about to get intense. Yikes, it's intimidating. Oh boy. Alright. So Spaghetti, if you're still there, basically what we're doing is like the numbers on the rows and the columns tell you how many blocks you have to uncover in that column or row. If there's like more than one number, it has to be like for example, this one here is just a 15, right? So there has to be a string of 15 blocks somewhere on this column, like side by side. If it's more than one number, like this is 15 and 1, it has to be 15 and then there has to be a space and then a 1 in that order. As I pointed out at one point yesterday, like, it probably would have been easier to understand seeing, like, the beginning parts of the game, like when I was doing the easier puzzles. Now we're at a point where it's like, these are some more challenging puzzles, so they might be harder to look at and, like, fully comprehend. Like, the early puzzles were only, like, 5 by 5 and then 10 by 10. I was also talking to somebody last night about how, like, I've been doing Picross for, like, 20 years. So it's such a second nature to me at this point that, like, I don't think I'm good at explaining it. Because I kind of don't have to think about what I'm doing. Like, I can just look at it and my mind just, like, gets it. Hey Eric, how's it going? A lot of people haven't played Picross. It's not very big here in the States. Well, not that many people have heard of it. Supposed to be like a campfire or something. Hey, you nailed it. Yeah, the Game Boy ones were what introduced me to it. Boy, these are definitely, like, intimidating now. Wonder if they go even larger than this. Yeah. Oh, Mario Land 2, and Wario Land? Don't you have to keep going and get all the Wario Lands then, though? Since it kind of bridges into a whole different series. I remember one of the first playthroughs I did on the channel. It wasn't even streaming. I played the first Wario Land and actually really liked it. Haven't really played the others. I think it's... like, I played a few of them, but I didn't like them as much. I didn't really care for the transformation gameplay that much. Like, I'm not a big fan of puzzle platformers, actually. Like, most of them just kind of don't do it for me. I haven't played the Wii one. I wanted to. Just never got around to it. I think it's on the eShop. Like, I think you can... on the Wii U eShop, I think you can get it for like $20. So someday, maybe. Add it to the long list of games that I have to get to someday. Yeah, Mario Land 2 is like one of the only 2D Mario games I actually really like. That is probably my favorite 2D Mario game. Easily. I don't care for the music on this area as much. It's not bad, but it's like not as immediately catchy as some of the other areas. I think it's a centaur fellow. centaur fellow. The pig boss. I don't immediately recall that one. It's been a while since I played Mario Land 2. I just remember really liking it. That's another game that, like, I'd like to stream, but, like, it can be hard to commit to playing a game that's, like, only gonna last one stream. Like, I tend to want a little bit more out of a playthrough than that. Even though there's, like, an increasingly large amount of games that I'm like, this would be fun to play, but it's only gonna take one stream. I might just have to, like, make it a series. Nintagious one-offs or something. I didn't really like the first Mario Land. I liked 2, though. I felt like the first one was trying too hard to just, like, be a Mario game. Whereas, like, 2 actually tried to, like, be its own thing. First one's just trying to be Mario, Super Mario Brothers, right? Shit. That was, like, my first mistake of the night or something. And it wasn't even me making a mistake, it was just me tapping the button too many times. It's upsetting. I also tend to, like, I'm kind of holding out on a lot of Game Boy games with the hopes that maybe they'll actually put them on Switch at some point. I'm one of those weirdos that everybody's obsessed with, oh, when are you adding Super Nintendo games? I don't give a fuck about the Super Nintendo games that I've played a billion times over, and everybody's played a billion times over. Give us the Game Boy titles that nobody's played. Let people experience something new. There's, like, so many cool games on Game Boy that, like, no one's ever played. Give us, like, Mario Land 2 and Link's Awakening and Metroid 2 and Kirby's Dream Land and... I don't need a 37th copy of Super Mario World and A Link to the Past. Like, pass. Was there a Double Dragon on Game Boy? There's probably stuff on Game Boy that even I'm, like, completely unaware of. I guess I'll keep the potions, like, just in case. Wait, were you talking about a pig boss in Mario Land or Mario Land 2? Because when you first said it, I was thinking Mario Land 2, and now I'm wondering if maybe that's why I don't know what you're talking about, is because I'm thinking of the wrong game. Shit. Bad. Hell, there's even still NES games that they have to get on there. Like, I really want them to put Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest on Switch Online. I don't know, for the most part I just want something new out of those services, and I want other people to get something new out of those services too. I don't... Like I said, I don't need a 37th copy of Link to the Past and Super Metroid and Mario World. Like, we've played those games, we get it. Like, most people have played those games. Sure, there are people who haven't, but them putting those games on their online service, they're mostly catering to the people that have already played them. I think that's honestly why a lot of people say that Switch Online isn't worth it, because they're looking at it as like, oh good, I can play Mario Brothers 1 again. Why do I care? And it's like, yeah, honestly, that's what you should be saying. It's kind of funny, though, because for so many years people were like, Nintendo should put their NES games on mobile phones, so we can just sloppily port them on the mobile phones. It's like, just let us play them. And it's like, now that it's on Switch Online, people are like, eh. I've done this, I've played this before. Oh, the three pigs. See, now I very suddenly remember what you're talking about. The other thing I really want to see them do with the, like, retro online service... I wish they would have just called it Virtual Console, first of all, because... NES Switch Online, or whatever the hell it's called, is, like, it doesn't roll off the tongue at all. I don't know what they were thinking when they named that one. The other one I really want to see them do is N64 games, because they could have online multiplayer, and that'd be fantastic. Like, imagine playing some of the... Like, a lot of those N64 games have kind of been played to death, too, but I think if they had the focus on multiplayer, and online multiplayer for it at that, instead of just force-feeding us Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, like, yet again, like, what if they... Like, imagine playing, like, Smash 64 online, or Mario Kart 64 online, or the Mario Parties online. Like... That's where their heads should be at. They don't even have to make a new Mario Party that isn't good. They could just put all the N64 Mario Parties on their new Virtual Console with online play, and people will be like, "Yes, I want this." And then, yeah, as a bonus, you could replay Ocarina of Time for the 15,000th time if you really wanted to. Man, some of these puzzles are kind of easy. I'm kind of blurring through these so far. It looks like a zombie, or maybe a guy in a robe. Or a mudman. That's kind of close to a zombie, I guess. They should also re-release GameCube games. There's a lot of GameCube games that are, like, really hard to find. Like, that's also a thing they should do. It's kind of funny, Nintendo has a bad rap for, like, re-releasing games for some reason, and yet they actually don't do it as much as you'd want them to. Like, the games that you'd want them to re-release constantly are not the ones they re-release constantly. And again, give the GameCube games online play, and like, whoa, like, hold on. Hold on. I think Melee is trash, but imagine being able to play that online. What about F-Zero and Kirby's Air Ride online? Again, there's like 3 Mario parties on GameCube, and you could play them all online. Like, how are they not doing this? That's the sort of stuff that frustrates me with Nintendo, is when I feel like there are very obvious good ideas that they're just, like, not doing. Like, they're just not interested for whatever reason. Like, it regularly makes me mad that they were like, nah, the Switch isn't gonna have a virtual console. It's like, what the fuck do you mean it's not gonna have a virtual console? That's one of the only good things that still is, like, still worth owning a Wii U for. Why would you not continue doing that? And they're just like, eh, we don't want to. Like, what? Realistically, it's probably something like, they've probably crunched the numbers and they realized it wasn't making them enough money or something. Like, they probably have a very good reason behind doing it, but that doesn't mean it's not frustrating. Though I mostly like Virtual Console just because of, like, the Wii U had Game Boy Advance and DS games, and it was like, that is super convenient for streaming. Like, I wish they would release more of those. Whoops. I don't know if it's that they want to leave it up to the companies to release their own collections these days, because that's, like, just such a thing now, is, like, people just developers just regularly make collections to release now. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe they were like, well, people are just gonna do it themselves anyways, so maybe we should just let them do it. Let's not talk about Donkey Kong 64. Hard pass. Do I want that just to sell it? I think I want that just to sell it. Oh, I don't need the money right now. So... another boss coming up already. Make a deal with Microsoft and put Banjo-Kazooie on, please. Though, please. Thank you. Because I would rather buy a re-release than the original cartridges, if I'm being honest. Don't want to buy an Xbox to do that, because for some fucking reason they don't want to put those games on PC. I have good and bad memories of Donkey Kong 64. It's not that bad, it's just... it's a very ambitious game, for better or worse. It's not a game I would jump at the opportunity to play again, let me put it that way. But on the other hand, I wouldn't mind having the opportunity to play it again. Like, it's one of those things where if they're re-releasing N64 games, then fucking sure, put it there. Maybe I'll think about it. I've said it before, like, sometimes streaming, like, gives me an opportunity to play games that I wouldn't play otherwise, so who knows? Maybe I'd replay that on stream and I'd actually have a lot of fun with it. It's not a game I'd play on my own time, though, basically. I have indeed placed many X's. that is indeed a thing I'm doing in this stream. I feel like you would enjoy games like this. Picross. I feel like you would enjoy playing Picross, Scarlet. It's a little too early for me to be able to guess what this is, honestly. Your guess is as good as mine. Oh boy, I'm stumbling a bit. What am I missing? What am I missing? There's gotta be something here that... There we go. Yeah, there we go. Actually, that didn't give me a whole lot to work with, did it? Teeny bit. Teeny bit. I think this has to be connected. Oh man, that snuck up on me. Oh, excuse me. You know what? Let's see it. I am thinking a ghost of some sort. I've actually been thinking a bit lately about... I remember when I was younger and when I just first discovered Fire Emblem, I really wanted to make a game like that. I don't think I have the time to try and make a game right now. Unfortunately. As much as I would like to try again. That's something I dabbled with a bit when I lived in Virginia and had, like, nothing else to do with myself. I looked into some programming for a bit, and actually, like, got decently far with it. Alright, well, I shouldn't have said anything about these puzzles getting kinda easy, because now they're throwing a big fuck you in my face. Damn, that was a gamble. I wasn't paying attention. That was actually a very poor move. Shit. What am I doing? Wake up. Them sound effects are still just so satisfying. Could also be a monkey? Maybe. Cyclops. Okay. We weren't close at all. We weren't close at all. This has been such a fun detour, though. Like, just something completely different to do, you know? Damn it. Pressed the button one too many times. I don't think I'm very good at giving advice for stuff like that, honestly. I guess you'd have to be more specific. Like, do you mean, like, how to get started, or... like, advice with, like tips for what exactly? You know what I mean? I also grew as an artist in a very different time than today, so, like, technology's in a different place. You're gonna have, like, a very different experience than I did. Like, the hardware is a lot easier to obtain these days. Like, tablets were, like, super expensive when I was your age. So that was a big, like... I had to get started with pixel artwork, basically, because at least I didn't need hardware for that. I just needed a computer. Now tablets are, like, way more manageable to pick up. Not only are they just, like, not as expensive, but they also have, like... They have, like, payment plans and stuff now, which is really useful. That's how I got mine, was I did a plan like that, so that spending $900 wasn't as crippling, since I was able to spread it out. I mean, like I said, the tough thing is the hardware, especially because you're young. It's gonna be hard to just go out and buy a drawing tablet. So you're probably gonna have to get started without that luxury, which can be way more intimidating. It's like a lizard man or something. Nailed it. A big thing to keep in mind is, like, don't be afraid of making... Maybe not necessarily mistakes, but, like, it's way easier to undo things when it comes to digital artwork. And it's way easier to, like, make tweaks. For example, you're drawing a character, you realize his arm isn't long enough. Traditional media, what do you have to do? You have to, like, completely redraw the entire arm. You don't have to do that in digital, you can just pick it up and move it. So you shouldn't be afraid of, like, messing around and just trying different things. Because the worst case, it's just not as crippling as it is with traditional. It's also another one of those things where, like, kind of like how I've said with this game, I'm like, I've been drawing for so long that it's, like, almost muscle memory for me at this point, and it's hard to, like, explain processes or anything, because I don't really think about it anymore. I regularly worry that I'm gonna try to, like, pick something up and draw something and completely forget everything I once knew, and that I'll just be starting over. But that never happens. Every time I do that, it's like I never stopped, because it's just so, like, ingrained in my head. As such, it's difficult to, like, just explain things. I find, at least. Sometimes it's a little better with visual assistance. That's the word I'm looking for. Way, way long ago, like, back when I was getting started streaming, I had a few viewers who were, like, really interested in that stuff, and I did a stream once that was just, like, hanging out and drawing stuff, just to, like, answer questions and stuff, but interest wasn't super high, so I didn't continue doing it. And now, like, my schedule's so packed full of other stuff to do that now I don't even know when I'd make the time for it. And really, when I'm working on stuff, I tend to enjoy the peace and quiet a little bit more, maybe. I usually tend to... I want to, like, have something on in the background and be, like, watching somebody else stream. I kind of don't want to... I don't fully love, like, mixing those two worlds, I guess. The other thing is, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way to do art. That's part of why I didn't finish college, because they were very much, like, just teaching me their way, and I was like, but I already have my own way of doing things. And they were like, well, your way's wrong. And I was like, but why is it wrong? And they, like, didn't have an answer for me. They were just like, because it's not my way. And I was like... Doesn't every artist have their own way? Shouldn't, like, as somebody teaching art, shouldn't you be nurturing what they are already doing instead of trying to rewire their brains? Like, that doesn't make a whole ton of sense. I think my biggest advice to most artists would probably be to work on what I call structure. I don't know if that's what other artists call it. Maybe they do. But, like, understanding how to, like, construct things in a 3D space. I think that's, like, a very worthwhile ability to have. It's a lady with a giant yo-yo. Kinda. Kinda. It's a hippo. Suddenly there's just a hippo. He's just hanging out. But yeah, I think the important thing with structure is that's what allows you to, like, construct your own ideas and be able to, like, have something in your head and put it on paper. I think it's natural for a lot of people to, like... I remember many years ago, I had a friend who thought real artists didn't use visual references. And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it depends on to what degree, I guess. I think he was thinking, you know, you have to come up with your own poses for characters. You can't just use existing poses. Like, you can't use references in that regard. Which, like, when you're getting started, sure you can, but yeah, it's something you gotta outgrow quickly. And if you don't know how to, like, construct a pose in 3D space, then you're gonna have a hard time doing that. I don't know, like I said, I don't think I'm terribly good at talking about that sort of stuff and making sense. I feel like a lot of times I'm just rambling and I'm not actually making any sense at all. Something I will point out is don't be afraid to find other artists that have similar styles to what you hope to achieve, or a style similar to what you already have, and don't like copy their work, of course, but don't be afraid to use their work as reference for like very specific things. Like, for example, if you are like, if you're drawing a character and in the pose you're like, you have their fist like at this angle, and you're having a hard time figuring out how to draw that, find another artist that has a style similar to what you're doing and look through their work to find where they've drawn what you're trying to do at that angle, just like a part of it, not necessarily all of it. Like, and then just kind of like Frankenstein things together. I don't think any of that made sense. If it did, then fucking bless you for being able to make sense out of it, because Why did I do that? Why did I do that? That was stupid. That was almost a perfect. I should consider it cause for alarm that you understood what I was saying. And hey Riley, how's it going? Increased levels difficulty. The fuck does that mean? How do you make it harder? Are the monsters just harder? I don't follow. And keep in mind, Miami, that we do have the art sharing channel on Discord that you are welcome to use if you'd like to. I can't promise that I will personally look at everything that is posted. I try to look every now and then, but I wish I was able to just like give everybody full critique on everything, but I don't think that's something I'm really capable of doing. And part of it might be if I can manage to get myself to a point where I'm personally drawing again. It'd probably be easier for me to talk about it, but I was actually talking to Scarlett about this last night. Like, the way I have my Dropbox, I store most of my stuff on Dropbox because not many years ago, a few years ago, I had a hard drive failure and I lost a bunch of stuff, so I just keep everything on Dropbox now because I don't want that to happen again. And I have things organized into, like, I have one big folder that everything goes into, and then I have smaller folders for, like, completed work. I kind of, like, file it away once it's completed. I have a folder for complete work for 2019 complete work. It's empty, because I haven't done anything this year. I've been focusing fully on streaming so far this year. For better or worse. Although, come to think of it, I think I took some commissions back at the beginning of the year. I think I just never organized my folders. I think that might be inaccurate. I should do that tonight. Yeah, I'll take that. Radish. And yeah, as I was saying, like, I wish I, like, had the time and the energy to get back into drawing more, but, like, I know if I were to put time and energy back into it, I would have to do that and streaming at the same time. And I think if I did that, I wouldn't be putting forth my best effort into either. I'd be kind of half-assing both. That's why I chose to just kind of focus on this year and see where this goes. Not gonna be able to ward off this attack. Okay. So he can clear my X's to try and fuck me up. Okay. You're a dick. You are a dick. Either way, so we don't want to tick that off yet. Alright. We might be in a better place now. I feel like that first attack is the hardest one to get through, and then once you hit him once, you're in a much better place. spider. It is undoubtedly a spider. Hey guy, how's it going? Well, that was stupid and shitty. Hey, Seven. How's it going? It's going pretty smoothly so far. I can't complain. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this in multiple ways. I think it's a well-crafted experience in general, and it's just like a nice change of pace. I'm a little concerned that it's gonna be like kind of short. Like, I'm probably gonna finish it tonight. I'd be surprised if I don't. And it's maybe not super challenging. It's not, like, easy, but the difficulty hasn't, like, ramped up to a point where I'm like, oh god, what is this? But I think it would be a good game for people who aren't super familiar with Picross to, like, get introduced to it. Because of that. It doesn't get too overwhelming. Has a nice, like, gradual difficulty curve, too. Like, it doesn't just all of a sudden get harder. I feel like it kind of ramps its way up, like, gradually. I don't know, it's kind of a mix, because, like, I complain about the ones that Nintendo puts out because they're very bloaty. They have something called Mega Picross, where it's like, you're basically just doing the same puzzles, but with a slightly different rule set, and it's very, like, artificial content. So on one hand, I feel like this might not be long enough not having something like that, but on the other hand, I complain about the Nintendo ones having it, so it's... I don't know. And hey, Twisted, how's it going? I did not get 10 likes yet. I did not do that yet. Last time I looked, it was still like 8, I think. Oh, have you been debating a name change? Any particular reason? I would only advise to, like, think long and hard about that, because, like, YouTube kinda is stingy about letting you change your name sometimes. So, you might be able to change it, and then you might be stuck with that for, like, a while. So make sure you like it before you change it. And yeah, this is another one of those types of games that's very much an acquired taste. Like I was just saying, this has been a welcome, like, just change of pace. Just, like, something completely different to do for a little bit. I like giving my brain the exercise. I think that's part of why I felt so, like, foggy last night after the stream, though. Like, I had a hard time, like, thinking straight last night, and I think it was because of that. Like, I hadn't been used to, like, putting that much thought into things. I think a mix of the sudden Picross and all of the Fire Emblem I've been playing. Like, I think that just caught up to me, and my brain was like, could you stop? Could you just do something brainless for a little bit, please? Oops. Which, you know what, brain? I think I agree. Like, I think I need to do another Marvel Ultimate Alliance night at some point. That would be nice and brainless, I think. Sadly, I think a lot of the games I've been thinking about playing lately, like new playthroughs I've been considering, are like RPGs and things. So it's like, they're probably just going to be more of the same. I feel like I might oversaturate, and I might start having people getting sick of all the RPGs. Like, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Nobody's been complaining so far, so... Some of my concern there is, like, I'm actually not a big RPG fan, and therefore I have the tendency to get, like, burned out. Like, if I play too many RPGs, I'll reach a point where I'm like, well, I never want to play an RPG now for the rest of the year. So, I don't want to risk doing that. I mean, yeah, it might be one of those things where, like, everyone just calls you Twisted anyway, right? So... What game is that, 7? Although I think it's funny because I think I've heard you say a few times that like the way you phrase that makes it sound like you don't like RPGs at all, right? But I think it comes down to the fact that RPG is a bad genre name. Like, because you actually do play a lot of RPGs. You're probably just not thinking of them as RPGs, because when you think of an RPG, when most people think of RPGs, they think of like Final Fantasy. They think of the turn-based RPG. Okami's an RPG, really. Didn't you play Child of Light at one point too? Like that's absolutely, you know, that's even a turn-based RPG. But yeah, Murphy reminded me the other night that I played through Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and I meant to get back. I meant to go do Partners in Time, like, shortly thereafter, and I just, like, never got around to it. So I was kind of thinking, do I want to do that? I was also thinking about doing a Pokemon playthrough before Sword and Shield comes out. I was kind of thinking about doing a Zelda playthrough before Link's Awakening comes out. I think what's tricky for me, I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed this, but I like to keep future playthroughs, like, semi-secret, because I like the idea of, like, mystery. And, like, I feel like that's fun. Maybe it's actually not that fun. Maybe people don't like it. But I like the idea of, like, not knowing what a streamer's gonna do next, and thinking, like, and hearing, oh, we're starting a new playthrough on Monday, and being like, oh man, I wonder what it is. Like, I think that's fun, but maybe not everybody does. But as a result, I often wind up with a list of like 20 games where I'm kind of thinking about playing them, and I'm trying to narrow down which one to play, but I have no idea what people want to see because I'm not telling anybody what the games are. It's not super productive. I also don't like to promise things. That's another reason why I kind of like the mystery, because I don't want to promise, oh, we'll play this, like, oh yeah, we'll play Twilight Princess at some point, and then have people constantly be like, so you said you were going to play Twilight Princess, when are you going to start that? And, like, maybe I just decide I don't want to for whatever reason, and then I'm kind of like, well, I guess I fucking broke my promise, go me. It's like I've said before, Looney pointed it out once. Streaming actually, we put a lot of thought into like what games we're gonna play, what sort of content we're gonna create. We think about that constantly. Like, it's probably more thought than a lot of people realize. Have to question, like, variety. Like, if I play such and such a game, is that going to be too similar to other games? Because you don't want all of the games you're playing to kind of feel like they're the same genre. Because then people might get tired of that after a while. I try not to have too many long playthroughs going at once, because I don't want my channel to be just 2 or 3 games for the foreseeable future. So as such, I've been trying to think about, like, platformers and stuff instead, because if I do an RPG, that's too much like Dragon Quest Builders and Fire Emblem, right? Like, those already kind of fulfill those roles. Another one, and people might be like, Isn't this too much like that other game you were already playing? Yeah, there's games I've been considering playing for months. I have thumbnails for Sonic Forces. When have you guys even heard me mention playing Sonic Forces? Like, I don't think I've even brought that up. It was on my radar at one point, and then I just, like, never got around to it, but the thumbnails are still there. And yeah, Twisted, it's like... Whoops. Well... Just messed up the music. For the most part, like, you gotta balance a little bit of everything, I guess. Like, I think doing what you want to do is very important. A lot of streamers don't even factor in what they want to do. They're just like, well, Mario Maker's trendy, I'll just play that. And it's like, I don't think that's the right way to do it. But I think you do have to factor in more than just what you want to do as well. You gotta balance so many different things. And the nice thing is that, I mentioned this earlier, sometimes streaming gives me an excuse to play something that I might not have played otherwise, which is really cool. So sometimes I can use that push. Like, sometimes that push towards playing something is, like, really welcome, because I'm like, well, this might not be a game I would have played otherwise. But then there's also... Sometimes you just don't know what you want to play. That's a bit of a problem, too. Well, that was stupid. Even not as a streamer, I even have that problem just, like, casually gaming. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't know what I want to play. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think playing something just because, like, oh, it'll get me views is a good idea. If you don't enjoy it in any way yourself, then what's the point? I do agree with that. Sometimes things are worth a shot. Like, a couple months ago, if not further back, it was, like, closer to the beginning of the year, I think, I decided to start trying to stream Splatoon again, and I was like... I'm not hating it, but what it came down to was I was playing it because I thought it was going to get me growth, and I wasn't enjoying it. I was kind of like, I was definitely phoning it in. I do think if you play a game that you really enjoy, it doesn't matter what the game is, you're still going to grow. If you're having fun, that's what people want to see. Sure, you can just stream Mario Maker or Splatoon or Minecraft or Fortnite over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and you're probably going to grow, but you're probably not going to grow a community that you really like, because they're only going to want to see that one thing. And then if you ever try to play something else, they're just going to be like, why aren't you playing such and such a game? That's what happened to me with Splatoon in, like, the early days. Because when I started streaming... it was basically just Splatoon for a while there. And when I tried to play something other than Splatoon, I got a bunch of kids being like, why aren't you playing Splatoon? And I was like, well, I can see where this is going, so I need to change this immediately. But yeah, you definitely have to get something out of it for yourself, and I don't think growth is enough of a thing to keep one satisfied. It's important, but I don't think growth alone is going to lead to somebody being like, I am happy with my channel. Could I have grown faster if I had continued playing Splatoon or something? Or buckled and said, fine, I'll play Mario Maker, sure, I'd probably be monetized already if I would have done something like that. But would I have been happy? Probably not. I'm happy now, so who's to say that I'm doing it wrong if I'm happy? That goes for them too. I can't say that another streamer's unhappy because they are just streaming one game over and over again. Like, if that's what actually makes them happy, then more power to them. My point is, if it doesn't make you happy, don't commit to it. I do think it's... You gotta look out for number one, I think. Yeah, like, if it weren't for the people watching, we might not be able to do this anyway, so they're definitely important too. But yeah, I'm a firm believer that, like, if I'm not having fun, they're not gonna have fun. So there's no point in forcing myself to do something that I don't want to do. In the long run, that won't do anything for anybody. I guess a better way of putting it is, like, I don't really make a goal of playing a variety of games because I think that's what people expect. I make that my goal because that's what I like to do. Like, I have fun doing that. I like experiencing different things. What the fuck am I doing? I'm making so many mistakes right now. This is terrible. Monkey? Whatever. See, I don't think binging is a bad idea either. When you get really hooked on a game and you just play that for like 2 weeks straight, I don't think that's a problem. I think it's more so the people that are like, they just play one. Some streamers just play one game. That's all they do. They just play one game for years. They play one game, and it's like, how do you do that? If you really enjoy that, then that's fine. But I think a lot of them do it because that's like, it becomes work to them at that point, I think. And hey, Taro, how's it going? How was your, today was your first day at the new job, right? How'd that go? Today's Monday, right? My schedule doesn't... My brain doesn't calendar right now. The weird thing another thing is, I don't think it's worth sitting here and worrying over and over about, like, what games are going to stream well. Sometimes you just have to try it, and sometimes it goes in completely unpredictable fashion. Marvel Ultimate Alliance is streaming very poorly for me. The views on those streams are really bad, which is really surprising to me, because I thought it would do well. And that's like... How would I have thought... Like, who would have guessed that that would have been a stream that was doing poorly? Like, I never would have guessed that. I only found that out by trying it. So, did I think... This is doing better than Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That doesn't make any fucking sense at all. But I never would have... never would have known that if I hadn't have tried it. So yeah, sometimes you just gotta put a game in and hit start stream and just see what happens. And if your community's showing up and they're enjoying it just because they're your community, then who cares? Just do it anyway. Not everything has to be about growth, I guess. You can do things just because your community likes it. You can do things just because you like it. Like I said, and Seven said, if you wow, I like totally lost my train of thought there. Holy shit. Get enough sleep, boys and girls. Get healthy sleep. It helps you to not lose your train of thought. Yeah, if you are enjoying yourself, your community's going to enjoy themselves, because that's what they're going to come there for. If your community doesn't come there for you, then they're not your community. Which is why I didn't like the idea of growing off of one game, because I think when you do that, I think people come to those streams for that game and not for you. Does Okami do poorly for you? That's surprising. Not super surprising, but semi-surprising. I thought that would have done, like, decently, at least. Shit. Yeah, I think Marvel's been, like, my lowest viewed streams in, like, a while. I think even Yooka-Laylee did better than Marvel Ultimate Alliance does. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand why it's doing so poorly. Like, I legit don't get it. I'm only sticking to it because I think it's fun. So I'm kind of like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm still having fun, so... I actually want to play it more. The only reason I haven't been playing it more is because it doesn't do well. That's kind of the middle ground I've struck there. I've been like, I'm still gonna play it, I just won't play it a lot. Focused. Honestly, I never expected Monster Hunter to be a good stream game either. I was kind of surprised that those did as well as they did. I think some of the Monster Hunter Generations episodes are still like some of my most viewed streams. Like, they're really up there. Which sucks. I really miss playing Monster Hunter, but like, Generations just didn't... I didn't fall in love with Generations like I do with the other games. It's kind of weird. Like, I enjoyed playing it while I was playing it, but I don't have a desire to go back and play it again. It's odd. Maybe because it was a best of game. It didn't have anything going for it that was like... That's not true, though, because it had, like, the... This is absolutely a dragon, by the way. It had, like, the combat arts and shit, which were really cool. Like, it did a lot for gameplay in general. Maybe it was just the community that killed that one for me, because playing Monster Hunter Generations online is like... You're just fighting the same fucking monsters over and over and over again, and it's really stupid. Oh, you came home from work and took a nap. It looked like you were either up really late or up really early. I'm not sure which one it was. And yeah, exactly, 7. And usually that's enough for me. Like, when I played Phantom Hourglass, that was another playthrough that did very poorly. The view count on those streams was hideously bad. I only got through it because there were a few community members that came to, like, every single stream, and they seemed to really be enjoying it. I really wish I could stream Monster Hunter World. Because that game did captivate me. Like, even though I remember when we were playing Generations, we shit on Monster Hunter World a lot. When I finally played it, I was like, this is great. Like, that was one of those games where I couldn't put it down. Are they also elite jerks? Like, yeah, I mean, I guess Monster Hunter World I played entirely myself. I didn't play that with anyone at all. Why is this guy talking so much? Yeah, I think I noticed when I stopped streaming that you were, like, already up. I stopped around midnight, though, so it had to have been, like, shortly after that. Damn it. But yeah, like, basically, like I said, figuring out what to play, there's many different factors that you have to take into consideration there, is kind of all my point was. And it's way harder than a lot of people probably think it is. Sometimes it is just... I boot up what I want to play and I just do it. Other times I'm like, well... here's a game I think people would like to watch. Other times it's... here's a game that I think would be fun to stream. In a perfect world, you can get all of those things at once. But that, like, doesn't happen very often. That's very hard to achieve. Monster Hunter was a bit of a perfect storm there. That had, like... I enjoyed playing it. It was leading to channel growth and led to my picking up, like, regular viewers that still watch every day now. And that was kind of an accident. I just played that because I wanted to play it. I didn't play it for like any of those reasons. I was just like, I love Monster Hunter, so I'm gonna get it and I'm gonna play it. Hey Logan, how's it going? Yeah, it's timed because it's like a side challenge. You got me questioning now, Seven, if I want to play Okami someday. That was on my list. That was a game I was like... It's not a game I'm like dying to play, but it was a game that I was like, well, I never finished it, and streaming it is an excuse to finish it. But I don't know, different games do differently for different people, too, so... It's probably still worth trying. I might stream it, and it might do great. Seven might stream Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and it completely blows up, like... Who knows? Like... Like I said, sometimes you just gotta try things. You never know what's going to, like... really resonate. No, that has to be 2. I'm really sad that, like... Not only am I gonna have to wait a few extra months for the Monster Hunter World expansion, but I'm not gonna be able to stream it. Like, that makes me so sad. I don't want to fucking spend money on a PS4, like, just for that, though. Like, I really don't want to. Like... Even though I guess PS4s aren't that expensive anymore. If I remember right, on like, I think on Prime Day there was like they had a really good sale on PS4s, and I'm like kinda glad I didn't see it because I might have been tempted to jump on it. And... I don't know, spending that kind of money would have been unwise. But if it was a good enough price, I don't know if I would have been able to stop myself. Crap, I'm not spreading out these attacks, like, at all. I'm about to get punched in the face as a result. Got him. Again, I should have been spreading those attacks out more than that. Okay, we're fine. Now we're gonna start securing kills, so it doesn't really matter as much. Yep, like that. It's like a Reaper, I think. Nope, it's a lion. I didn't see that at all. Okay. Yes and no, Logan, because, like, sometimes with the touchscreen, like, I remember the one on DS, like, had this semi-awkward, like, zoom feature because the puzzles got really big and couldn't fit on the screen. Yeah, PS4s aren't that expensive. It wouldn't be that expensive to get one and grab Monster Hunter World. Like, it really wouldn't. Maybe come Black Friday, I'll keep my eye out. Maybe I'll use that as an excuse to get one, because by then, Monster Hunter World expansion's gonna be out anyway. I think they said that Monster Hunter World's gonna be cheaper once the expansion comes out. Like, they're not gonna sell you two $60 games, it's just gonna be one $60 purchase. So, I might as well wait for that anyway, then. And realistically, I could probably get more use out of having a PS3, like, easily. But I also have too many damn games to play on Switch right now anyway, so it's not something I'm super eager for. And by the time I get through Fire Emblem and I've had enough of that, it's gonna be just in time for Astral Chain to come out, and rip my wallet. Rip my wallet. You'd be proud though, Seven. I've started looking at ways to, like, shit. Not ways to shit. Ways to, just save a couple bucks here and there. Just make each game, like, slightly less expensive. Started trying to shop a little bit wiser. Except that's been biting me in the ass, and then games aren't coming in the mail until, like, 5 days later. So it's kind of not working out so far. But I'm trying. Did you try the thing with bitrate that I mentioned, Twisted? Did that not make a difference? Your wallet died just today? Why just today? Yeah, videos have to be a certain length for me to watch them, to be honest. If a video is too long, I'm not spending that much time on watching a video. I could be watching, like, something on Netflix instead. I often feel bad about that, but yeah, like, even people I follow that try to do a lot of video content, like, I never watch any of it. I just never get around to it. I support them doing it, it's just I can't find the time to sit down and watch any of it. In fact, I wish I had the, like, energy and ambition to do video content. Every now and then I get a skit idea where I'm like, that's really funny, and I should do that. But then I'm like, I start thinking about how much work is involved in, like, planning out something like that, and I'm like, eh. Missing something big there. Okay, let me see. 14, 13. There's a definite concern with video content, too. I've talked to some other streamers about this, where we seem to notice a pattern that, like, if you're a streamer that transitions into video content, people want to see the streams, so they don't watch the video content. Like, the videos tend to do pretty poorly because of that. So that kind of keeps me away, too. I try to do, like, mini reviews at the end of a playthrough. Like, when the credits are rolling, I'll try to talk about, like, okay, here's what I liked about the game, here's what I didn't like, here's what they could have done better, here's what I hope they do in the future. And that sounds like a good idea, Twisted, honestly. It sounds like a pretty frustrating situation. And like I told you last night, I was in that situation. I don't think that was last night, actually. I think it was some other night. But I was in that situation once, where I was in a position where I just couldn't work on my channel. And I was trying literally everything I could to try and find some way that I could continue. And just nothing was working. And eventually I just gave up, sadly. It's not a good end to that story, so I apologize for that, but I mean, it was moving that allowed me to pick it back up, but it took years for moving to be an option. And that's part of why I don't really draw anymore, because when I was in that state, like, when I was in that, like, situation, drawing was all I had. Drawing and working on commissions was like my life while I was in that situation. And as such, I think now, like, I'm kind of indefinitely burned out on it. And I also relate it, I think of it as a negative thing, because I relate it to a negative point in my life. And I don't know what to do to solve that. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Fuck you, Owl. Oh, it's not enough. I can't do anything with that. Also can't do anything there. Okay, what am I missing? There's... Look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. Yeah. There we go. Trying desperately to find like some sort of big breakthrough. I might have just found it though. Yeah. We are golden. husky plush in the background? No, I'm not even sure what you're referring to. Hey Volpe, how's it going? Well, I feel sometimes I can pause for, like, just a little bit like that, and then I immediately, like, just see everything. Like, oh, that's what I was missing. Let me see. I think it's like a gladiator. He's holding like a sword and a shield. He's in like a battle stance. It's a very animated fireball block. It's an old man. Almost to the next boss. Condition play with your eyes closed? What? How do they know that you are or not? What? That's literally impossible. It's literally impossible. And yeah, he's just kind of like, hey, you did it. I trust you. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Yeah, that's basically what they were, yeah. It was a sport. This one's literally a blob. It's just a blob. Tis a shapeless blob. I guess it's a person? Oh. It's a Frankenstein. Okay. It's a what? 7? Aren't you supposed to be family friendly? But this stuff starts stockpiling, I guess. Boss time! 10 tickles. Fuck you, Moonface. I'm coming for you. It sounded familiar, but I wasn't like 100% sure. This guy ain't got nothing. It's Castlevania. I see it. It's not actually Castlevania, it's just a reasonable facsimile, but... Mountain Castle. It's Castlevania. Where do I even start? Holy shit, okay. What, the goo on the side? We'll squish him, don't you worry. Jerk. It's just a little goo. That didn't make it sound much better. You know, let's... Shit. Well, he missed, so... Still a mistake I should not have made. That was risky. We're on a roll now. What? What do you mean you're so confused? Like look at him. He's a little little goo person. If I don't think that qualifies as a person actually, but it's like a samurai? Knight, whatever. Dude with a sword, close enough. There's a red ogre fellow. What about that goo? That goo doesn't freak you out more than the other one? Because that one's a little bit more unsettling, I think. I think maybe my gripe with this game is I feel like it took too long for the RPG mechanic to actually matter. Like there haven't been many puzzles where I've had to like put actual focus on like targeting the correct enemy. It took until basically the end of the game before I had to start worrying about that. But I think part of that is they probably designed this to be approachable. They probably didn't want it to be too hard from the word go. It's such an interesting twist, though, but I feel like it kind of just didn't matter for a lot of the game. It's a guy standing on top of something and giving a thumbs up for some reason. On top of a dragon, maybe? No, it's just a zombie. Oh boy. I don't think I've seen this enemy yet. That's another thing, is like the enemies don't do anything. Like, it'd be interesting if I got into a puzzle and I had to look and be like, oh, it's such and such an enemy. They're gonna do such and such a thing that I have to watch out for. But they're basically just timers. It's more interesting than just having a normal timer, but I feel like there's a lot of potential here, I think. It's kind of what I'm getting at. It's not necessarily a complaint so much as a, hey, keep it up. There's something great here, I think. The presentation is great, though. I think that's the thing to come for the most part. Like, I still find the, like, just the audio feedback of, like, attacking and killing the enemies is really satisfying. Give me, like, an endless mode once I beat it. That'd be pretty cool. Like, just a row of, like, randomized puzzles in a row. See how far you can get before the monsters just, like, overpower you and eat through all your health. Make them increasingly stronger and such. Have bosses show up, like, every few puzzles. Well, that sucked. I got nothing. Increased levels difficulty. A guy spraying a wasp. I didn't see anything from that one. Like, congratulations for anyone that was actually able to see something from that, because I couldn't see shit. Reminds me of Tetris 99, like, a little bit, in regards to, like, having to pay attention to, like, who you're targeting. That's a good thing, though, right, guy? Alright, we're gonna take a super quick break. Just a quick bathroom break, and I think grab something to drink. Do I need something to drink? Yeah, it couldn't hurt. So, I'll be back in just a minute, and we'll keep going. I think this is gonna fill out nicely into, like, just about a 4-hour stream. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'll talk about that more when I get back. Like, my feelings about this game in general. Overall positive. Worth pointing out. I think there's a lot of potential here. I hope they either do some updates to this or, like, quickly make a sequel, because I think there's a lot of potential here, and it's like, it's a niche that, like, there aren't many Picross games. So I think that's, like, a market that they could fill easily. Oh, that sucks, guy. I mean, you could just get one for yourself, too. Really. Because it didn't run you. PlayStation Classics are super cheap, right? Because nobody wanted them. So... anyway, yeah. I will be back in just a minute, so stay tuned. Good one, Volpe. I don't think anyone's biting, though. It's a cactus dude. Back for more. A title you thought you made up in your head but is real? What do you mean? Like, you remembered it existing from your childhood, but you could, like, never remember what it was? So you just thought you had fabricated it? I don't know if I probably have had that moment with games. You know what? Definitely had it with, like, movies. I'm trying to, or, like, even shows. You'd be surprised, View. Also, how's it going? There was I mean, okay, it wasn't 2019, but I think last year there was an episode of Game Grumps where Danny fell for it. Where Aaron just, like, threw it out there in some playthrough. He was like, man, I hope you can get Updog in this game. And and Danny was like, what's Updog? Like, you know, and you know Danny, so it was, like, 100% innocent. He was just, like, complete curiosity of, like, what's Updog? You know, I take it, like, so personally when they attack me. Shit, that was a gamble. That was not necessarily correct. I don't think I'm familiar with... I think I've heard of it, but I don't think I know anything about it. It's so sad when a game like that comes around, though, and, like, it just has a combat system that's, like, just unlike anything else that any other RPG has done, and yet somehow it never sticks. Like, that bugs the hell out of me. It's one of the things I like about Chrono Trigger so much, because it's like, it's so different from other RPGs. Why was nobody like, hey, maybe we should try to do this again? Like, for some reason, everybody was like, nah, you know what? Final Fantasy is better, so let's just keep doing that. Except it had, like... It had such subtle differences that, like, a lot of people probably don't think about. But the fact that it, like... Shit. The fact that it doesn't have, like, transition into random battles. Like, all the random battles just happen right there in the world. Like, in older RPGs, they had, like, a separate battle screen because of limitations. Like, that's what random battles were. They were designed to get around that limitation. And then a game like Chrono Trigger came along and was like, well, that limitation doesn't matter anymore. We're gonna make it, like, we're just gonna make it all fluid. And for some reason, people still make, like, traditional, like, RPGs with just, like, random battles like that. It's like, it's weird. I guess at this point it's nostalgia, but... That does sound wild and way ahead of its time. By the way, View, how did Fire Emblem go today? Keeping in mind, everyone, that don't talk too much about what's happened here, because he doesn't know any of that stuff yet. Oh yeah, that plot twist. Yeah, it sucks that you had that spoiled, like I said, I saw it coming. Like, I just knew that was something that the game was gonna do, but it still sucks to have stuff like that spoiled. Kind of similar to Endgame, right? Because, like, there was a lot of stuff with Endgame that got spoiled, and I was like, well, I saw that coming. Like, that's predictable. That's what I expected to happen, but it still sucks to have it spoiled. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much in non-Fire Emblem streams, because, like, I'm okay in Fire Emblem streams. I'm okay with just talking about whatever's happening, because one, that's what's currently happening in the stream, and two, I put a massive spoiler warning so that people know to avoid it. But in other streams, I don't have that spoiler warning there, so I don't want to talk about it too much, because there might still be people who just... They might be finding comfort in the fact that they can actually watch this stream because I'm not playing Fire Emblem. I wouldn't want to spoil it on a not Fire Emblem stream, you know what I mean? I'm still nervous that, like, could happen when I'm watching other streams. That somebody might not even be playing Fire Emblem, and somebody might just show up and be like, did you get to the part where Thanos snapped his fingers yet? It's like, dude. Dude. Man, spoilers made me really not trust the internet, didn't it? Like, man, I don't even trust people I know when it comes to that shit anymore. It's pretty sad. There's people that I know would not spoil things, and I don't even trust them. Like, what the fuck? Oh, like you were watching another completely unrelated stream and somebody just, like, blurted out something that they figured was just common knowledge. I think, like, as a community, we should just simply decide on, like, what's long enough. Like, when do we say, okay, we can talk about this now, because at this point, everyone's had enough time to play it. Unfortunately, since it's like an 80-hour game, that's a little bit harder to do. Like, at least with Endgame, it's like... Well, it's a 3-hour movie. Like, just sit down and watch it someday. But it's not like you can just play through Fire Emblem in a weekend. That's why I've said about, like... I think when I finish 3 Houses, I'm gonna play a different Fire Emblem, maybe? To give people a chance to play through 3 Houses themselves and feel like they can actually watch streams while I'm playing it. Oh, yeah, I get you twisted. Yeah, I've seen where, like... Yeah, what I was talking about is I've seen people do, like... They go, like I said, they go into streams of people not even playing Fire Emblem, and they'll just be talking about it. And it's like... And then they just act like everybody knows everything that they're already seeing. And it's not just a Fire Emblem thing, either. Worth clarifying that, I guess. I blame meme culture. Maybe that sounds stupid, but... People just want, like... They want an easy way to relate to people, so they just... blurt stuff like that out. I don't know. It's frustrating, though. I mentioned to View, I'm tempted to watch somebody else play Dragon Quest XI before I play it, so that I can kind of watch the story as a movie, and then not have to worry about getting it spoiled while I'm playing it. Because that's going to be another, like, 80-hour game. And the entire time I'm going to be on edge, thinking, like... Anytime somebody comes in and they're like, oh, I love this game, I'm going to be like... Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Please don't say it. Please don't spoil anything. Because, like, that happens with Fire Emblem. Like, I've had people come in and they're like, oh man, I'm enjoying this game so much. Which house did you pick? And, like, we're having a conversation and I'm like, please, please, please don't say anything that's just, that you just assume that I know. Or whenever somebody has to boast, like, oh, I beat it twice already. It's like... Then please don't say anything else, because I don't trust you. That doesn't really give me much of anything. Fortunately, I noticed that when I started putting, like, the big spoiler alert in... the stream titles for Fire Emblem, I stopped getting people doing that. Like, that almost attracted less people that want to talk about the game, which doesn't make any sense, but it seemed to help. See, everybody doesn't know that, Volpe. That's a good example. When Seven played through Ocarina of Time blind, she had no idea. I was so proud of the internet for not spoiling that for her, like, before she got to it. I was so worried that, like, somebody was just gonna show up and be like, oh, so you found Zelda, right? And just blurt it out. Because, yeah, people just expect that that's common knowledge. But we have to stop and think, yeah, it was in Smash Brothers, but not everybody plays Smash Brothers. Believe it or not. It is also no longer in Smash Brothers, which is a thing to keep in mind. Like, they're now separate characters, so that is kind of, like, not a thing that's revealed anymore. So unless you grew up playing Melee and Brawl, you don't have that knowledge. But yeah, a lot of people, I think, like you said, Twisted, people just want to relate. And I think a lot of them assume, well, if I got this far, then everyone else must have gotten this far too. Nobody has a filter. Like they don't know, they don't stop to think, hey, they might not know about this yet. Now, sometimes there's forgivable errors there, where it's like, I mentioned to Eno about a character that I recruited in Fire Emblem, and he said something about, like, that was, like, kind of a spoiler, because he didn't know that character was recruitable. Meanwhile, I was assuming the entire time that character was recruitable, so I think that's, like, forgivable, right? Because it's not like I thought that they weren't, and then happened to recruit them. I thought they were recruitable the entire time, and I just wasn't paying attention. Oops. That's not right. But, yeah, like you said, I think people want to relate, and they also want to be the center of attention, honestly. People want, especially kids, I find, but sometimes, like, adults do this, too. They want everyone in the room to be looking at them. They want everybody to be like, oh, wow, how do you know so much about this? And, like, they want that attention. And I think that's why they'll just blurt stuff like that out, because they think people are going to be like, oh, how do you know that? You're so cool because you're so knowledgeable. Except in reality, most people hate it. Most people are just like, no, shut up. Yeah, Dan of Game Grumps didn't know who Sheik was either, until they played through Ocarina of Time. And yeah, there's a couple spoilers in Smash Brothers. There was a big Xenoblade spoiler, there was a big Castlevania spoiler, I think. There's a couple in there. But not everybody plays Smash Brothers, and not everybody who plays Smash Brothers collects every single spirit. So I don't consider it like common knowledge. The real unfortunate thing, and I think this is how I would recommend everybody look at the sensitive nature of spoilers, is that think of... See, the hard part for me is I always want to just say, how would you feel if somebody spoiled such and such a thing for you? But a lot of people don't give a shit about that sort of stuff, believe it or not. I don't really fully understand that, but some people don't care. They want to just know everything. But what it comes down to, I think, and something that everybody can relate to, is you have to think that it makes people uncomfortable. You have to question that sort of thing. Even when I brought up, hey View, how did Fire Emblem go? My mind immediately went to, he might be uncomfortable talking about this because he might not want to spoil it for other people or get anything spoiled for himself. It might make anyone who hasn't played it yet uncomfortable because they don't want to hear anything about it. If you're ever about to say anything and you think it might make somebody uncomfortable, you should probably just not say it. So that's, like, kind of my fault. Maybe I shouldn't have even asked that. I should have just asked him after the stream, because then he could have said anything he wanted to say, and he wouldn't have had to worry about anybody saying anything that he didn't want to hear. I'm not saying that I'm assuming that he was upset by me asking or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically. I know Guy hasn't really sat down to Fire Emblem. Whoops. So he might have been like, oh, I have to close my ears now because they're talking about Fire Emblem and I don't want spoilers. It's tricky. It's uncomfortable. I don't even like talking about Endgame on stream yet, because I assume that there are people who probably still haven't seen it. And to a point, part of me wants to be like, it's been out for so long, fucking deal with it. Like, either go see it or shut up. But then another part of me is like, how would I feel if I was in that position? If I hadn't seen it yet, and somebody told me, well, go see it or shut the fuck up, I'd probably be like, fuck you then. Like, that wouldn't set well with me, so... If it was the worst game in the world, would you spoiler it? What do you mean? Like... if it's just a game that most people... like Sonic 2006, where most people just agree that it's bad, would I spoil it? Yeah. If it was like... I think Breath of the Wild isn't a good game, but would I spoil it for somebody who's enjoying it? No. There's not really anything to spoil in that game, but I still wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be like, oh, this game is trash, so I don't give a shit about your enjoyment of the game. Like, I wouldn't do that. It's very contextual, I guess. The thing that regularly gets on my nerves is it's so easy to just not talk about spoilers. Like, it's so easy to just not. Like, so easy. Sometimes it can be frustrating, because you do want to be like, man, I can't wait to talk about this part with this person. Like, I've had stuff like that happen. That was part of why I wanted to take a little bit of a break from Fire Emblem. I wanted Eno to be able to catch up so that I could continue talking to him about some of the things happening in the game. But my spoiling it wouldn't do anyone any favors. Because I could just be like, oh, this happened. Let's talk about this. But chances are that's just gonna piss him off, and then I don't get to talk about it anyway. So, practical purpose does that serve? Is this even filled out enough to be making a guess on what it is yet? I feel like it isn't. I'm not seeing anything. It's some. I think it's some sort of bird. I can kind of see it. Like there's the tail and the legs and like curving up into the chest. Maybe a dragon of some kind. I think what blows me away more than anything is like I was saying, that like sometimes there's forgivable spoilers, like but the big one for me that I think is unforgivable is when somebody goes to a stream, sees the streamer playing something, sees the word blind in the title, and then just expects that they know everything about the game. That is like, you have all the information you need to know that you shouldn't have said that. But I like 9 times out of 10 the people that spoil in that context, they're doing it intentionally to be malicious. Like that's not accidental in most cases. And then sometimes I think people are just legitimately excited to talk about things and can't help themselves. Which is, like, forgivable to a point, because at least it's not in malicious, but, yeah. Final boss. Might end a little bit early, but not too much. Actually, no, it might be, like, just about right on time. That's a lot of enemies. Like, a good example is when I was playing Final Fantasy IX. Okay, yes, that's an older game. It's, like, 20 years old or something. So it's not like... And I'd played it before. But I still had a problem where, like, I had one person that was just like spoiling things, like just blurting major events of the game out. And I was like, even though it's an older game and I have played it, you're watching me play it now. Why would you intentionally harm the experience by doing that? Like what is there to gain by doing that? And there's another little thing that bothers me is that, like, people can be really unobservant sometimes. Sometimes I think that some viewers don't actually watch the stream. They only look at chat. And maybe they listen to what you're saying, but they're not actually watching the streams. You get so many people asking questions of, like... For example... Anyone who's streamed Fire Emblem knows that this is a thing. JMT, you streamed it once, I think. Twisted, you've streamed it. View, if you're still there, you've streamed it. How many times have you had somebody come into the stream and ask you which house you've picked? When really, even if you don't have it listed in the stream title, shouldn't it be just as simple as looking at gameplay for like 30 seconds and looking at which characters they have available to them? And putting it together, which house they are? Like, that's a question that shouldn't need to be answered. But clearly they're just not looking, I guess. For some reason, they think it's faster to ask you and have you repeat information that is obvious than it is for them to watch the stream for a couple seconds and be like, oh, look at that. He has Claude on his team. He must be Golden Deer. Because that's the only way you could get Claude. Like, why would you even ask? Like, why do people do that? It's just like the people that come into the streams and ask, hey, what game are you playing? Like, are you kidding me? You can't find that information anywhere else in the world. Like, I can think of three places where you can find that information. But people still ask it. I mean, if you're not playing Fire Emblem, chances are if you're not playing Fire Emblem, you're probably not gonna care that much about which house somebody picks. If you are playing it, you're gonna be able to look at the game and be like, oh, okay, I know which house you're in. There's no way you've played the game long enough to pick a house and can't look at gameplay and be like, and identify which house the player is in. Like, it's just... that's like coming into a Pokemon stream and asking them which starter they picked. Give it a minute, look at their fucking menu, and look to see which starter they picked. Like, it's simple. Like, hey, are you playing Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee? I don't know, which one is on my fucking head? Which one is on my fucking head? That's not a question that needs to be asked. At least I can forgive, like, which console are you playing this on? That I can forgive that a little bit more, because sometimes that's not immediately obvious. If you're playing a game like... Crash Team Racing, that makes sense to come into a stream. Okay, which console are you playing this on? That's not immediately obvious. They probably still say it somewhere in their channel description or stream title. It's probably still listed right there somewhere. But at least that's a little bit more forgivable because you can't really observe and realize that as quickly. Still can, because on-screen button prompts are a thing. All you have to do is notice what controls, which controller they're referencing, and you can piece it together. But with the exception of PC, because sometimes PC versions always show Xbox prompts. Even if you're playing on keyboard, it'll sometimes show you Xbox controller prompts. So, yeah, there's understandable reasons. I think the frustrating thing to me is that as an entertainer, you kind of realize that you can't just be that much of a smartass. Like, whenever somebody asks, which house are you playing? I can't just be like, what fucking house does it look like, dipshit? Because that's not gonna get me anywhere. Because that's just gonna cause them to turn and leave the stream, probably. And even though they're having a minor lapse in judgment and asking something like that, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're like a complete idiot. They deserve more of a chance than that, I suppose. Man, these things actually took out like half of my health, because I'm doing a bad job of spreading out the damage. There we go. Is this another dude, like, holding a shield, maybe? That was close. It sounds like you're going to be getting yourself a PS Classic, guy. Yeah, you said the controller cord length is, like, really short. I've heard that. Isn't that a problem with most of the mini consoles? Like, don't they all have that problem of, like, really short cord length? I've heard people try to defend that by saying, like, oh, well, the cords were short back in the day, too. Yeah, TVs were also this small back in the day. Like, it's a different time, guys. Like, come on. I think that's one of the many reasons why an N64 Classic just would not work. Why did I press that button? Why am I stupid? Yeah, imagine having an N64 Classic and, like, with controller length like that. And having to, like, cluster everybody up in front of the TV to play Mario Party or something. That's just, like... No, it just doesn't work. Not to mention, you'd then have to sell it with multiple controllers, which means it's going to be more expensive. Or you sell the controllers separately, and then they're going to be ridiculously hard to find, like I believe the NES classics were. Like, they were, like, super hard to find. There's probably... They're just USB, right? So, USB extension cables are, like, probably a thing. That's one good thing, is that I'm pretty sure they just make them USB so that you can use the controllers for other things and stuff like that. I got nothing. Ifrit. Ifrit? Which one is it? I thought it was Ifrit. Yeah, honestly, they both sound completely idiotic. Don't make any mistakes. We're almost there. We are almost there. It's like a fire spirit that nobody knows how to pronounce correctly. Man, I still don't know what I'm gonna play tomorrow. I was actually thinking about maybe taking tomorrow off. You did misspell it. But you know what? Credit for trying, because I complain all the time that, like, no one's curious anymore. So, points for Googling things and being curious. Because more people should be curious. That's the thing, there's different ways to spell it, too. I don't even know which one is the correct one, if there is a correct one. What do you guys want to see played? Like, out of the various games that I've talked about potentially streaming, what is like interesting to you? What makes you say like, oh yeah, I want to watch that? You're Dunzo, Moonface. What kind of name is that? Picross pro tip. If you can fill out one of the rows on the sides, that just dominoes into a lot of work. Like, you can just get so much free stuff done. Like, in this case, I was able to see 10-5-3. That fits in perfectly. I don't even have to question that one. That there's only one way for that to work. And now I can just work my way out from there. I'm gonna fill like half of the board just with that. Of course, sometimes the hardest puzzles are the ones where you can't do that, where you just can't figure out what the border looks like. But if you can, that's a good starting point. Actually, this fits perfectly too. My bad. Partners in Time. Miami. I definitely need to, like, put that up on my board. I don't think that's something I could start, like, now. Just because I already have so many other RPGs going, I feel like that would just be a little redundant. But I definitely want to get to that sooner or later. I'm overdue on that one. I'm so sad that Bowser's Inside Story isn't on the eShop or on the Virtual Console, because that one is really fucking good. No, because Superstar Saga had a remake too, and that's also still on the Virtual Console. Boom. I think most people consider Inside Story to be the best one of the 5? There's been 5 games, right? I think most people consider that to be the best one. Depends on how big your setup is, guy. And how much freedom you want. Yeah, the game like doesn't even have a credits because it's 3 dudes. It's a writer and an artist and a musician, and the coder. Like, that blows my mind. Yup, that's that. That is that. So I'm a little like... I really liked this. It's a little short, and maybe not difficult enough. And when I say difficult enough, I think all they'd have to do there is add like another difficulty, like add a hard mode where it like doesn't tell you what your mistakes are or something. Even that would be enough reason to like play through it again, I think. I think if they just added on to the end of this and continued to make it harder, then it would maybe get too hard for people that aren't familiar with Picross. So I think that would be the way to go, is to have like another difficulty level. As I was saying earlier, I think it would be cool if there was an endless mode where it's just like, it just throws like random puzzles at, like just all of these puzzles, just randomize them and just throw them at you randomly. And then just see how many monsters you can get through before they overpower you and take you down, with them just getting like gradually stronger and faster. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. Overall, I think the difficulty curve was very comfortable. A lot of Picross games either spend too long on the early stages where things are like really easy, or they accelerate to the end stages like too quickly, and then you're kind of finding yourself like feeling kind of like, whoa, like this got too hard too quickly. So I think it's a good like beginner Picross game. I think if you're not familiar with Picross, I think this would be a good one to pick up. If you had any if you were curious about it at all, I think this would be a good starting point. The RPG twist is like really cool. I feel like it could have been like slightly, again, harder. It wasn't until, like, the end of the game where I had to really start focusing on, like, spreading my attacks around the monsters to make sure that I, like, was stopping them from attacking me quickly enough. It would have been cool if that became a factor earlier on. It kind of wasn't earlier on. Earlier on, it was just, they were just another form of a timer. Which I guess that's all they were in later game too, but it's also more satisfying than just having a timer counting down in the corner. Like, that's, like, not really that fun of a mechanic, I think. So I think this is an improvement. I think there's a lot of potential here. I hope they either, like, add on to it, like I said, maybe have, like, an endless mode or, like, a hard difficulty where they don't tell you about your mistakes, and maybe make the monsters harder, too. Or just outright make a sequel. Like, either would be cool. It's a really cool concept. It's worth pointing out that it's a $10 game. When it released with a 20% sale, 15% sale, something like that. It was on sale for $8.50, like, the week it came out. I don't know if it still is. So I got about 8 hours out of it. That's not bad. Of course, mileage will vary with a game like this, depending on your experience with Picross. It might take you twice as long. You might be able to do it even faster than I am. I don't think I'm that good at it. There's probably people who are way better than I am. The presentation's great. The graphics are simple and charming. I guess it would have been cool if the monsters, like, when you're in a puzzle, it might be cool if the monsters were sprite work too. It's kind of a little jarring that everything is kind of sprited and then the monsters were like smoothly drawn. It's not that big of a problem. It's just it would have been cool if it was more, like, cohesive, I guess. What else? The sound design was, like, really satisfying. I just liked the feel of, like, taking monsters out and stuff. The music was really good. There were a few in here that were, like, really catchy themes. Very, like, surprisingly catchy for a game like this. You wouldn't think a game like this would have, like, really cool music, but they did a good job there. Near the end, I guess some of these themes in the end were kind of eh. But I like how they changed it up every, like, 10 stages. So it wasn't, like, you didn't get sick of just hearing the one theme, because it changed pretty rapidly. Yeah, I'd probably just go with the longer one, guy. How often do you find yourself saying that a cable's too long? Most people don't have that issue. And if it's really too long, you can just kind of bundle it up and tie it off to make it a little bit shorter. That's better than getting the shorter one and then realizing it's too short. Let me see who I have live that we can raid. I'm a slight bit disappointed that, like, that's it. I was hoping that there was going to be something once you beat it. Like, some kind of, like, extra mode of some kind of, like, higher difficulty or something. But I feel like it was also a pretty, like, it was a satisfying experience the way it was. Like I said, I'm interested in more. In a perfect world, maybe they'll do some updates for this game and they'll add some other stuff to it. I don't know if I really... Oh, wait, he's still alive. Okay, we're gonna go over there. That's what we're gonna do. For some reason, I didn't at first notice that he was still alive. So we're gonna do that. We are gonna do that. Open this up. Pixels. I gotta do Pixels for the end of the stream. Let me do that really quick. So, as I said a little bit ago, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to stream tomorrow. Probably just get back to Fire Emblem tomorrow. But I might take the night off. Or maybe I'll do Marvel or something. I don't know. I need to brainstorm and figure a lot of that stuff out, because especially once I finish Fire Emblem, I'm definitely gonna be in a place where I'm like, okay, I need new playthroughs. I gotta get some new stuff going. Maybe Partners in Time will be what I do once Fire Emblem's done. Maybe that'll be like the next. I mean, I say big playthrough, but those games aren't that big compared to other RPGs. I think Superstar Saga took me like 5 episodes or something. Like, it wasn't that long. So I might not have to... It might not be that much of a competitor. I definitely want to get some sort of like platformer in there. I don't know. Like I said, I need to just like sit down and talk to a bunch of people and just like throw ideas out there and see what people say, like, oh yeah, this would be cool. And just get an idea for what's what. But anyway, whoops. That's correct. That's correct. Sorry, I thought they were having technical difficulties or something. Doesn't look like it though. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, or really the rest of the week. On Sunday, we're definitely gonna do a random demo stream. I downloaded a bunch of new demos last night. I just paged through the entire demo list on the eShop and found like a whole bunch of stuff to pick up and try. So we're definitely gonna do one of those on Sunday. Other than that, I really don't know what this week has in store. We'll definitely get back to Fire Emblem, and I don't know if we're close to finishing it or not. I feel like we're close to finishing it, but also not close at all. So, we will get back to that, though. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for hanging out. We are going to do a raid. We're going to go see how Monster Matt is doing. He's starting a fresh Hollow Knight playthrough tonight. I was watching him a little bit before I started streaming. It's been a while since we've been over there, too. So, I'll see you guys over there for the raid. I'll see you back here maybe tomorrow? Maybe Wednesday? Not sure. Regardless, thank you all again for hanging out, and take it easy.